Hello everyone, welcome back to Morgan Hasn't Seen for the finale of our all-male review series. And none of you wanted a video episode on any of the Magic Mike franchise. You wanted one on this movie. You thought the British strippers are where it's really at.
Apparently.
They all must look like the most average normal men ever.
Right? I mean, it's kind of nice, though.
That's the whole point, isn't it, though? That is actually the whole point of the movie.
Appreciate that.
Because we're not in the realm of Floridian athletes in terms of our male strippers today. We are in the realm of unemployed steel workers from Sheffield.
Yes.
Who just happened to decide to do this for a bit of quick cash. It is, of course, the full Monty that we're talking about today. A movie as old as me, which I always like when we do movies from '97 because I can say stuff. I can say something like that, which is always quite nice. But
for you
might say. Quite nice for me, yes. Okay, quite maybe not for other people, whatever it may be. We talk about movies from the year you were born as well.
Yes, and of course, you just have to hit me with that '97 bullet the week of my birthday. So thank you. 'Tis 2 days shy of my next birthday. Thank you.
That was admittedly unintentional. However, Jeannine. You may say it's quite surprising that I haven't seen this movie, given that it has such a cultural impact and a cultural impact in Britain as well. This is definitely not just something that I think American audiences perceive as being, a trademark of an era of British movies. It's very, very popular here too. Let that not be said that that the full Monty has ever really devalued in its popularity. I think it's stayed that way. Everybody understands what it's referring to, what that means, and is familiar with at least some aspects of this movie. I certainly was before this week when I watched it. Well aware of enough aspects of this movie, but I think seeing it all in context, enjoying the funny or the darkly funny ride that you get for 90 minutes with these guys in this movie was just a really good time. It's a very, very feel-good movie for being quite a lot of the time rather bleak and people just being annoyed with each other, arguing with each other, and being really, really down on their luck and downtrodden. But it is that let's all come together to help each other. Let's be good for the community, even though nobody thinks we're any good for the community. Our families may or may not hate us. We have this unspoken amount of stress and somewhat depression in our own lives because we're in this miserable, failing northern steel town. I love that we open this movie as well.
Yes, with that kind of advertisement. Yeah, it's a booming, a booming place with lots of potential and hyping up the steel work there, and then we kind of see what it actually is.
At the height of its industry, towns like this, but this is very much the case with a lot of northern English towns. Towns like this were massively successful places. Yes, you still had people living in poverty because this is the British class system we're talking about here. Nobody breaks that down, at any great with any great ease. But as a town, as a community, certainly thriving places until all that was ripped away. And that is constantly in the backdrop of the full Monty. It is
Yeah.
the heart of a place being ripped away, and what do the individuals in that place do when that happens? Because it's not
Yeah.
their fault. They were steady, they were fine. They
Mhm.
might not be perfect people, who is, but they had consistency. And the beginning of this movie is, sorry, no, steel mills shut, you're being shut down.
Yeah.
And now you're unemployed. You have to go to job club.
Yeah.
This ridiculously bleak looking community centre.
Yeah.
That is just festering with a certain
Just
type
sad.
of Northern
Sad
English
man.
depression,
Yeah.
which is very, very specific, and is something me being from the North recognises as quite clear, even though that is Yorkshire. Sheffield, you can get to Sheffield in like an hour, probably.
Okay.
From here, it's really not very far away at all from Manchester. It's quite a nice drive, actually. You go up the
Oh.
Pennines in the middle of the country. Or if you want to, you can also go round, but that's beside the point. So you're not interested in the road layout of this part of the
Between
world.
Manchester and Sheffield, yeah.
But I think this is one of those cases in Morgan hasn't seen where I'm looking at it going, yes, here is something I wished I had seen a long time ago. Definitely. I'm very, very glad I've watched it now. It also felt like one of those ones where I was genuinely embarrassed to not have seen. Embarrassed to a degree, not
Yeah,
ashamed,
shamed
not
in the streets.
inconsolable, or anything like that. But one that I always felt I really, really should have, and just never got round to it. As opposed to what's happened sometimes on this show, which has been a movie that everybody tells me to watch all the time and over
Yeah.
again. And then it's kind of half my stubbornness of, no, I'm not going to do that then because you're telling me to do it, despite whether I actually want to watch the movie or not. This isn't one of those cases. This is just half of that. This is just, I really should have watched this before now. And thank
Just
God I
never.
have actually done that now.
Okay.
What are your feelings on this movie though? Because I can, I can't directly identify necessarily with this, but I can recognize and identify with these certain struggles and area
Yeah.
and attitudes and environments of this movie, which I think are fundamental to it, because to understand how much this movie means and what it explores and what it means to those watching it, I think it helps to live within that sort of environment,
Yeah.
or at least close to that sort of environment, so you can at
Yeah.
least recognize it.
Have
So
some
from a total
relatability to it.
outsider, from a Californian perspective, what on earth does the full Monty mean to you? Is it just that weird little movie from Britain that's a fun time?
Well, I mean, I obviously had seen this way before I'd seen anything Magic Mike, before any of that
Yeah,
was a thing. And I also was, even back then, kind of aware of the word of this movie, the word of kind of the full Monty and what that meant. And so when it was playing on my TV, I decided to just watch it. And I was not expecting it to have as much kind of depth as it had and realness as it had.
yeah, it's a
Each
very
one of these
raw
guys.
kind of feeling
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah, each one of these guys is kind of going through something, and then ultimately what was originally just kind of this make some quick money scheme turns into an outlet for these men. And
Yeah,
so the heart in that really kind of endeared me to the story in general. And it kind of showed me that you can kind of throw out this wild and risque and silly premise. Um, but it makes it that much more interesting when you have this level of heart behind it. So it
yeah,
kind of opened me up to what films could be, what they could kind of be projected as, and then kind of seeing for yourself what it's really about, and films kind of
Yeah.
being able to play both sides of something. So that was kind of me as, developing as somebody who really looked into film and analyzed film and loved film, really getting an insight in the many things a film can accomplish with this movie. So I always enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun with it, and I always loved how real it felt, despite kind of this high, flashy concept that became kind of this pop culture thing. But
Yeah.
it was a real story about people who felt real, which I wasn't expecting when I went into it, just kind of the pop culture essence around it. So I always had a ton of
I
fun
think
with this movie.
that balance is so important for this movie's success, I think, and is why it is as successful culturally
Yeah.
as I think it is, because it is funny. It's consistently very, very funny.
Mhm.
It's consistently also pretty silly, yet consistently really smart in its exploration of finding yourself when all is lost again,
Mhm.
or building new friendships, overcoming a sense of shame, perhaps, as well,
Yeah.
overcoming fears, overcoming guilt for maybe
Insecurities.
not feeling right, insecurity, lots of insecurity
Yeah.
going on, that the stereotype of hard northern working men have never been the most emotionally intelligent people in the world,
Yeah.
able to say what they feel, and this is very much a thing and very much something that's explored here. Those worries are there, those anxieties are there, those insecurities are there, but do any of our lead characters really know how to speak to each other or speak to anybody, their own wives, their own, mothers, their own families,
Yeah.
about any of this with any great depth? No, they haven't got a clue. So they're just festering in this pit of, what on earth are we going to do? We're desperate. We're
Mhm.
maddeningly desperate here. So
Yeah.
let's just have another drink, have another smoke, and just go and try and
And then
do
go to
something.
the job center,
Go to
and
job club,
yeah, and
smoke
mope
there for a
about.
bit.
Yeah.
Not really knowing what to do. But I think the great thing, how we're able to endear ourselves to them, is that they're not scroungers, are they? They're not freeloaders as people. They actively want, they wish to all hell they were still working. They
Yeah.
wish to all hell they still had that consistency. So it's not anything like
Yeah.
that.
It's not a get rich
Um,
quick scheme. It's more like, how do we just get to the next day kind of
yeah,
plan. Tom Wilkinson's lost his job, been out of work for 6 months, and lying to his wife, who,
yeah,
who is used to him providing her a bit of a kind of lavish lifestyle.
yeah. Because
And
Tom Wilkinson clearly had, he was quite high up at the steel mill by the looks
yeah.
of it. So
Mhm.
he, was clearly some sort of manager. So
Yes.
had a certain middle class lifestyle
Yeah.
that his, that Robert
Credit
Carlyle and
cards
Mark
and
Addy
home
certainly don't
gym.
have.
Yes, credit cards and home gym and TV and this whole kind of thing. Um, Robert Carlyle's character has a son. He's
Yeah,
broken up with his ex, and he's trying to, be a good guy and provide for his son so that he doesn't lose visitation and those kinds of things. He's trying to
yeah,
prove that he can be this kind of functioning adult to, help this relationship with his son that is struggling, because his son just sees how kind of pathetic his dad is at times.
yeah. He's a mess.
And
He's a mess. Robert Carlyle obviously is the lead of the movie. He is, and he is absolutely the messiest one
yeah,
of this entire bunch of people we're
yeah.
dealing with here. 100%, because he is also the most desperate. I think this is something that Robert Carlyle has always been really good at kind of
Yeah, I
portraying,
mean,
is a
I was
real desperation. There's something whether it's, I mean, he's the really great example of that, just perfect featured character actor who is just.
Because I was going to ask
There's so much weather in his face. There's so much grit in his face, and kind of wear and tear in his face that he just kind of reeks of desperation. And that's not that's just embracing what you're good at as an actor. That's not Robert Carlyle the person.
Yeah, no, it's what he excels at. So I was going to kind of ask you, like, what type of actor is he seen as generally? Because like, is he typically seen as a comedic actor or just like a very varied character actor? Because I mean,
I would call him a character actor. He's incredibly dynamic, energetic, and quite intense character actor. I would say he is more than anything.
Yeah, because I mean, all the things I've known him for are all, they're not incredibly varied, but they all have a kind of similar sensibility. So I'm always kind of wondering where to place him, because I would think of like Train Spotting or 28 Weeks Later or Once Upon a Time or this movie. So, you know, it's always hard for me to kind of place him in a very specific genre. But you're right when you talk about kind of him playing into this desperation and then just kind of doing varied levels of that. The desperation in a comedic sense, the desperation in a heartbreaking sense, the desperation in kind of a pitiful sense, the desperation in maybe a villainous sense. So he's kind of.
Who did he play on Once Upon a Time? He played Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Yes, who then ultimately ended up
most horrible fairy tale character of all of them.
Exactly.
A man-child kind of character. Oh, I've not got my way. Stomp, stomp, stomp around.
Yes, but then they also.
Robert Carlyle.
Yes, but then they also morphed that character into kind of that universe's version of the Beast as well, which is a very complicated character who's pained and hurt and but also capable of love. So they kind of did some things with his character that he played into fairly well. So yeah, he started, I think, that series as Rumpelstiltskin, and then as we introduced the Belle character, we learned that he was kind of her beast in that kind of version of Beauty and the Beast. So he kind of had this dual role, and we saw him kind of warm and be this good kind of complicated villain kind of character like the Beast is. So so I think he can play shades of of desperation, I guess is the facet he could be put in.
Yeah. Definitely. No, I think
because the comedy aspects he does, I think, play really well also in this movie.
They do. Like I said, it's consistently very, very funny, and it's bluntly funny. It's kind of miserably funny a lot of the time. It's a lot of people insulting each other, kind of barbing each other. But people that clearly do get on, people that are clearly friends. Him and Mark Addy have such great chemistry in this movie, I think. Because Mark Addy as well in this is very, very kind of low-key self-deprecating.
Yes, and insecure, deeply insecure.
Very, very insecure.
When we see him with his wife, like, he won't even make love to her because he just hates how he looks. And he's the most kind of scared of this prospect of stripping because of how he looks. It affects him so deeply. And I'm like, he's not even that big. Like,
he's not. He's actually not. I think this is a very 90s, late 90s thing as well.
Yeah.
He's really not even that big. And he's constantly referred to in this movie as the fat one. Oh, look at you, Tubby. Oh, I'm such a fat bastard, and everything like this. It's like, you know what? I have seen you much bigger than this, Mark.
Yes,
so
I mean, I think Game of Thrones, he was probably a lot bigger. Like, but yeah,
Robert Baratheon was like twice the size you are
of what
in
you are in
Mark
this movie.
So what's all this about?
Yeah.
But I think he's great in it as well. And our secondary members of the kind of group in this, the Denzel from Only Fools and Horses, not that will mean anything to you, the black man
in
the group, he's quite funny.
Yes,
this.
and, like, the fact that he's kind of, like, the best, like, dancer, like, I love that they all kind of have a little bit of a skill set situation, like, when they're auditioning people, he's actually kind of, like, actually
Yeah,
has some good moves. Yeah.
yeah. The obvious kind of young, hunky guy who I even
Yeah.
forget the name of now, but
Oh,
everybody's shocked at this. He's like, if you were to liken it to Magic Mike, he is Richie, isn't he? He
yeah,
is Joe Manganiello of this particular
guy.
group. Of course, his name is just Guy as well. Of course it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. But he's funny, you know, Lomper, who's just the miserable sad sack one,
Like, the
who
trumpet player.
the trumpet player lives with his mother at age 40, um, tries, you know, gassing himself in the car when we first meet him in the
Yeah,
movie, which is again the kind of real miserable humor you're getting out of this movie,
yeah.
because that is like, it's not played for laughs, but I don't think it's played as seriously as that sort of
No,
thing can be.
no. Yeah.
Um, it's very, very dark when you actually think any length about it. But the fact that he and Guy end up realizing they're like attracted to each
Attracted to
other
each other, yes.
and become a bit of a couple by the end of the movie. Not that anybody ever really mentions it; they just kind of notice, oh, that's
No,
happening now. Oh, okay,
yeah.
fine.
Mhm.
It's I love the subtlety of that. I
Yeah.
love the subtlety of a lot of this
And the
movie. I
lack of,
think that
especially,
can
the
be,
time as well, like, the
yeah,
fact that there's no really judgment about it, or it's not made into this thing. Because I think we're just coming out of a
no,
lot of Dawson's Creek where Jack's gayness, and even I think Ted Lasso where Colin's gayness is, like, this
well,
whole,
yeah, it
like,
was a big
dramatic, like,
deal.
so
Yeah,
scared of being criticized, teased, mocked, all of this thing, and 90s with Dawson's Creek, like, how big of a deal, that
yeah,
kind of hate that Jack was receiving or scared of receiving at that time. So the fact that we have that kind of subtly hinted at here, we see them kind of share this, like, look, and then they're holding hands, and it's not made a thing. The guys are just kind of like,
yeah,
okay, and we move on. Like, I love that.
yeah. It's it's kind of nice to see when stories like that can just be placed into a movie, I suppose,
Mhm.
with
They can just exist
no,
in the world.
they can just exist with no extreme drama. And I suppose it's nice to have the opposite as well. It's nice to have a storyline like, for example, we've had in
Mhm.
Talking Ted Lasso recently
Yeah.
with Colin,
Yeah.
where it is drawn a lot of attention to, and we have discussions around the importance of that and the
Yeah.
importance of that significant moment in any, non-hetero person's life,
Yeah.
of course. But you also do have this positive portrayal of it in this movie,
Mhm.
which is kind of nice. The fact that it is just not thought of as an issue whatsoever
Yeah.
by anybody, any one of
Yeah.
this newly formed friend group,
Yeah.
and they're all just like, oh, they're together now. Cool, sweet,
Cool.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I do like that, but I find Tom Wilkinson. I want to talk a little bit more about Tom Wilkinson actually in this. He is. I mean, he at times he might be the villain of the movie, but at times he also is maybe the most pitiful of them all, because I I would arguably say he's in the worst position because of how long he has drawn this facade out for
Yeah.
his own wife, or in front of his own wife. He's also definitely the most highly strung, definitely the most, like, yeah, okay, you can say Mark Addy is ashamed of himself and insecure of himself,
Yeah.
and doesn't want to do the stripping for that way. But there's more there's something else going on, I think, with Tom Wilkinson, where he sees all this as beneath him. This isn't right.
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
isn't this is not what somebody of my
My
standing
stature would
does.
do. Yeah, he kind of plays into a
I
little bit
go
of
to
the
dance
classism.
classes in the evening and pretend
Yes.
to do the waltz like I'm in, you know, the Georgian period.
Yes, my wife wants
You're
to
not
take a
in the
ski
Georgian period.
vacation and, has her credit cards and I mean, yeah, I mean, his wife says as much once it's kind of revealed that he's been out of work for so long and, they don't have any money and people are starting to kind of just take all of their stuff. She says,
I mean,
"I
his
don't
name is
need to."
Gerald as well. Let's just point that out. So
Yes,
he's a bit, you know, snooty
yes.
just from that, I think.
Yes. But I mean, yeah, like what his wife says to him, she's like, "I don't care that they took the TV. I don't care that they took, the home gym and this and that.
Mm,
I don't I could even live through the embarrassment of everyone watching our stuff get taken away. But the fact that you lied to me for 6 months, to me, like, that is the most upsetting about this whole situation."
yeah,
That really desperate scene in the job club when he goes to have this interview for this position, he's
yeah,
highly qualified and Robert Carlyle is out the window with his lawn gnomes kind of making little faces and gestures, to mess him up in the interview and he loses the job. And he freaks
yeah,
out on Robert Carlyle talking about how desperately he needs this. He could have gotten the job and like his wife never would have had to know about, him them losing all this money and this and that. And Robert Carlyle's like, just tell her. Like, why can't you
yeah,
just he even tells him the probably the most desperate guy in this movie is telling him, why can't you just, tell your wife the truth? So yeah, I think he gets kind of caught up in the classism of the whole kind of system and sees
yeah,
himself as kind of better than everybody. And it isn't until that moment when his wife kind of finds out and tells him that she probably would have been okay with everything and understood everything had he just been honest with her.
yeah,
That's kind of what brings him back down to earth and he can now go into the situation with these guys with a kind of clearer way ahead, head of
yeah.
thinking. So
But I mean, when you put it that way, our lead four in this movie, aside from Guy, who is kind of just there as the pretty boy of the group
yeah.
a little bit, they're all they're all equally desperate, but just are mentally very, very different in how they cope with it.
Yeah, that's
Robert
true.
Carlyle Robert Carlyle is spouting every bit of desperation he can to everyone he comes across. Like, I
Yeah.
need this. I just need a couple of quid for, to do this. I'm on my hands and knees here.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this. Look at my son. My son's here. I'm trying to still see my son. I love my son. Clearly, look at him. He's
Yeah.
so great. He's being taken off me. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, shouting
He
to his
is
son at the
the
window, going to his ex's house, begging to not
yeah.
lose the time
He's
with
the
his
ball
son.
of stress.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah,
ball of stress energy, and in that way, he's kind of outwardly embarrassing for those around him, outwardly embarrassing for his own son. And that the
yeah.
father-son little dynamic between them two and that arc in this movie, I think, is really strong as well.
Mhm.
Kind of weirdly, in how I suppose pleased and willing his son is at the end of the movie to literally tell his father, "Go on stage and let everybody see you naked. I
Yes.
want to see it too." Like, what do you mean you want to see it? That's a
Yes!
bit creepy. But
Yeah. But I think, yeah, that arc is really interesting because I think he even gives his dad some of his money to help kind of this whole endeavor,
he does.
and,
Like the
um
£100 he's got saved up that he's like a 12-year-old kid. It's all the money he's ever got in the world. And he
yes.
takes it out of the bank to give to his dad to help
Yeah,
go
I think
through with
y
the
yeah,
the, the strip show.
yeah. Um, because, you know he sees his father kind of think as pathetic as he is in that beginning part, but once we kind of go through and they get the other guys and they're actually working on the moves and they're really kind of thinking this could be a thing, um he starts taking it really seriously and his son sees how seriously he's taking it. This is
Yeah,
probably the most committed and thoughtful his dad has been about anything. And so he sees that shift in it becoming a quick cash grab to, wow, he's like actually really good at this. Gotten these guys together. He really
Yeah.
cares. He's coming up with great ideas. Like, I've never seen my father this organized and productive about anything. And
Yeah.
so I want to see him succeed at this. So there's a certain shift that happens there where he sees his father kind of as pathetic, just trying to do this thing to get money, to then seeing it actually showing him as a competent person who actually
Yeah.
cares about things. And so when his son sees that shift, I think that's when the relationship kind of starts to shift as well, to the point where Robert Carlyle is completely embarrassed now to do this now that it's actually happening, that his son
Oh,
has to
yeah.
give him this great pep talk, like, "You better get out there right now or I'm gonna slap you."
And
Like,
yes, and show everyone what you've got. Everybody
yes.
else is doing it. Everybody else
Yeah.
is already out
You
there
did this. They're
doing the
there because of
dance.
you. They're there because of you. So you need to
Yeah.
go out there right now. He's like handing him his hat and handing him his tie and telling him, get out there, and giving him this like little pep talk. So I love that like there is this shift in what this whole kind of mission means. And his son sees
Yeah.
that through this kind of really ridiculous thing.
And I think everybody else comes to see that much quicker than Robert Carlyle as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe unconscious on Robert Carlyle's part. I know I keep calling him Robert Carlyle. His character's name is
Gaz.
Gaz in
Yeah.
the movie. It's unconscious on Gaz's part because I don't think he quite realizes how good this feels to be committed to something and have this
Hmm.
group of committed people
Yes.
all
What
doing
he
the
was
same
able to
thing.
put together. Yeah.
And they go and have some sort of weird football match on the moors somewhere, and it all
Yeah.
feels like a bonding, a slowly
Yeah.
bonding friend group with somebody they actively used to hate in Gerald. Like
Yeah.
they really, because he was presumably one of their managers at the
Yes.
Steelworkers.
Yes, and he becomes kind of like the manager of this team,
He does,
helping
because
them with
he's the
their
one who
workouts.
has the dance fundamentals, because he
Yes.
obviously does the ballroom dancing.
Yes.
And apparently all he needed to tell them was pretend to be Arsenal's offside trap, and that's how they get in line. How can I get you in a straight line? How is it this difficult to time you to get you in a straight line?
Yeah.
Apparently they just have to pretend to be the late 90s
Football.
Arsenal back four,
Yeah.
and
And
one
they
of
get their
them
stuff
is
together.
Tony Adams.
Yes. And
Um,
it's just
and
generally,
it all just works.
yes. I mean, just generally, it's great to kind of see the evolution of how good they get and how they kind of end up seemingly enjoying it in moments. Like, I
Yes,
think the hot stuff in the bank scene is so
the
good.
hot
Like,
stuff in the bank scene is my favorite, and you know what? It's kind of barely anything, and I think
yes, but
that
it's so
is
much
a
all at the same time.
it is. It's a beautiful little scene,
Yeah.
really, that perfectly encapsulates the whole movie. As the ending, the final performance. We're used to final performances in this all male review series at this point,
Yes.
aren't we? I think the final performance is great, sure, absolutely. Everybody's there, swell, the swell of support in this community for what these people are doing. Half because of intrigue,
Yes.
half because some of these kind of horny people just want to see some action.
Yeah.
Um, and then another percentage. I've said half and half, and that's a whole. I meant
Half and
thirds,
half and
and
half
then
and half.
and then another percentage are there because I think they actually genuinely see the effort these guys are putting in
Yeah.
and want to support it in that way. And the swell of support from that crowd is wonderful, and it really, really helps that on-stage performance be as charismatic as it ends up being.
Yeah,
Because
the
it
fact
could
that
have been
Gaz's ex is there
really, really
even.
shaky.
Yeah.
Yes, Gaz's ex is there, Mark Addy's wife's there,
Mhm.
who they've just had a really difficult scene with each other, like their
Yeah.
scene before, and she turns up.
Yeah.
It's really, really very, very heartwarming. And it could have, they could have fallen flat on the face. We saw the one dude who, when they were doing the auditions, who genuinely couldn't take his t-shirt off properly. Like,
Yeah.
it looked like he was labouring to get into bed
Yeah.
at night. For any British soap opera fans, of course, Les Battersby off of Coronation Street, that man was. But I think the less said about Les Battersby off of Coronation Street, the better these days. I want to say he did
Ooh,
some
bad
sort of
things.
questionable thing.
Oh no.
I want to say that. I don't know if he did or not, but you never hear about him anymore. He might be dead. I don't know. That was his character's name, by the way, in
Okay.
Coronation Street, and not the. I don't actually think I know the actor's name properly. But they could have been just like him. They could have all just been like him.
Mhm.
Reg, I think his character is in this movie, tiny little role, and just not have any coordination whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it is the support of everybody else that brings out the charisma in the end, that brings out the coordination,
Yeah.
and it is timed to perfection, that final performance. But I say
Yes.
all that to say, it still isn't as good as the hot stuff in the bank scene.
I know, because it's really the first little nudge that you see these men are getting it. They're thinking about it constantly, that they actually care without realizing how much they care because they're in the bank waiting in line. Robert Carlyle's kind of like on the other side, so he's seeing all of them in a line. There's like maybe some random people in between,
Yeah.
and then Hot Stuff just starts playing in the bank, and they recognize the song as one of their rehearsal songs, and they just start kind of quietly doing the steps and doing the thrusts during Hot, like very kind of
Yes.
subtly, and doing the
Right in
moves.
time with it perfectly, every
Yes!
single one of them. And the people around them are just
They're just
like
like, "What?"
half noticing. Like,
Yeah!
what are you
Like, "Can you
doing to
do
me?
better?" Yes. And it's so good. It's just like this quiet little realization for
Yeah.
us watching that these guys are really kind of invested and they care and they're having fun and there's this camaraderie and giving you this kind of glimmer that they could really pull this off. So
They
it's such
could.
a like a subtle little scene, but it's so smart and I think it's so impactful how quiet it is to just have that moment in there.
Yeah, it really is. You get Tom Wilkinson's the one who ends up doing the full
The
spin
spin, yeah.
around at the end of the bar of the music, and
Yeah,
the scene ends there. And that is the real turning point of the whole movie, I think. To me, that is where
yeah,
your smile comes onto your face watching it for the first time, and then it never leaves really
yeah,
for the rest of the movie. Because
yeah,
the first half of it, okay, it's a short movie, it's a swift 90 minutes of movie,
yeah.
but the first half of it is pretty dour. It's really kind of, oh god,
Yeah,
this is a big affair.
you establish each man's kind of darker situation of desperation, what they're kind of dealing with in their kind of rough day to day. And then the plan is formulated, and then it's kind of nobody really is taking it all that seriously. They're not very good.
Yeah,
Some people
dancing
quit.
to Hot Chocolate, and that's a good song as well. Good songs in the full Monty.
Yes. Um,
Um,
yeah, there's a point where they are rehearsing and they get arrested, and
oh, that's good as well.
then
That's great.
yes, Gaz loses kind of his time with his son because of this whole situation. Um
Public indecency and all that kind of stuff. They took
yes.
well, it's even better, I think, when they end up at Gerald's home. Um, for I can't even remember what reason they end up at Gerald's home now, and then two people coming to repossess his television or
Oh
something,
yeah. Yeah.
and they all just come out wearing nothing but their leather thongs that they've all
Yes.
got from the bedroom and scare the repossession men out.
Pushing people out. Yeah. Yes. So many great moments. I think what's that moment that I'm thinking of that was really funny? I was about to say and it just left my brain. Um It'll come to me.
I'm sure we will latch onto it. I'm sure we will latch onto it.
Yes. Oh, no, when they're watching, Mark Addy ends up stealing Flashdance because it's like steel
Yes.
workers, but also dancing. So this must
This is
be like a
perfect. This is
this
going to be
is
the best
yes.
movie. And it takes them ages as well. The elaborate plan they have to actually steal the movie in the first place from the supermarket because they can't afford to even go and rent the movie.
Yeah.
So they
So
have to
they
formulate this ridiculous plan to try and steal the movie just to watch something for
to get
tips.
some
And then
tips
Mark
for
Addy's
photography.
complaining about the quality of the welding.
Yes. That cracks me up every time. He's literally talking about like how she's heating the steel and how it wouldn't work like that. He's just like critiquing her welding the whole time. They're like, we're not watching it for this. We're watching it
That's
for
not the point, Dave.
yes, that scene cracks me up that he's just like it reminds me when we did our Christmas watch with your dad of Die Hard and he's talking about he wouldn't be able to fit in those air ducts. There's this and that. And, like, him just like technically because of his work analyzing like the realism
To be
of
fair though,
John McClane being in the air ducts.
it is those kind of nitpicks that I do find funny. I also very much found that particular scene funny. Oh, I mean, they're watching it on this tiny little
Little
television
TV.
as well. It couldn't be a smaller television
Yeah.
if they wanted to in the office of the abandoned mill.
Yeah.
That and he's just there. What's this we've got on? Flashdance. It's going to be great. Look at this now. They're dancing now, yeah, but the welding wasn't very good, was it? It's ridiculous. Couldn't get anywhere with that. That'd fall straight through. Wouldn't hold,
Right?
never.
Like that's not what we're watching this for. And he's the one who stole it. And doesn't he get a security job at that same store?
Yes, he does. He gets a security job at that, which is great. He's got a job. Phenomenal.
Yes.
Well done, Mark Addy. But this is the point of the movie now where we don't even want him to have this job because the only reason he's gone for this job now is because he's chickened out of the performance because he
So insecure.
doesn't feel correct with him. He doesn't feel correct
Yes.
with himself. And that's because everybody's been calling him fat the
Not the whole
movie.
time. I mean, even his wife, like it's an endearing compliment, but she calls him big man, you know?
Yeah.
But I like that they took the time because I don't know like how much we see, male insecurity like this, depicted to this degree.
I think this is another really great element though of it,
Yeah.
and it's what sets it apart from so many, or it's what sets it, has kept it so relevant
Mhm.
and made it into the cultural juggernaut that it kind of is.
Yeah.
Is yes, the shock value of it, on the face of it.
Yeah.
Not that you end up even seeing
Seeing
anything
it, yeah.
You don't. The characters of the movie do, the cast who were there on the day all clearly got their, got everything out for everybody.
Yeah.
That was fine. But you get the shock value of that. But it's the far more subtle, emotional, mental health story that is this movie that has kept it so big in the public consciousness, I think. And it isn't necessarily, I think, what people who do love this movie would recognize they love about it first and foremost.
Yeah.
I think they may love it for the relatability. They may love it for the humor of it. They may love it because it's feel good. But peel that layer back, why is it feel good? And it's feel good because you're seeing these quote unquote normal guys go through the same struggles you might be going through.
Yeah.
And coming out the other end, having a really good time and doing this thing that's going to be remembered by
everyone. Yeah.
in their community for years and years and years to come. And who's to say you can't then go and do more? Who's to say it has to end in Sheffield? Go to Bradford. and do
Yeah,
one as
I
well.
mean, they
Go
ended up
to
selling, like
Leeds, go to
yeah,
Barnsley and Huddersfield and other towns
little
in
towns.
West, South Yorkshire,
Yeah,
you
because, I mean,
know,
this show already existed, like, there was one in the town that the women were going to, and, like, we see,
right? There
Mark and
was.
Gaz, and his son, like, sneak in to see, the women kinda going crazy over one of these shows already, so that's kind of how he gets the idea in the first place, and
And
then
that's far more
when
of a Magic Mike, athletic men, well-built
yes,
young men,
exactly,
very
exactly.
pretty men.
Yes. But when it's kind of like the guys have disbanded kind of near the end, they've decided maybe they're not going to do it. Um, they've learned, they got caught and arrested, some of them. So the word is out that that's kind of what they were doing. People are teasing
Yeah,
them. Um, and so it isn't until um they learn that Gaz finds out they've sold like 200 tickets
yeah.
that they realize this could kind of be a thing. So just off that alone, like, why not continue to
Why
do
not?
more other places?
Why not?
That's the kind of hope, the post credits hope you have for these characters after we've watched
It
them,
is.
for the
It
time.
is. I believe there was a follow-up television
I
series
think
in
there was a
reasonably
series.
recent
Yeah.
years as well.
Mhm.
That I don't know how
The story
involved
goes
with
there. Yeah.
stripping that is or anything like that. I don't know if it's just a let's have a look and see where all these people are now.
Yeah.
Clearly, probably in a little bit of a better place, you would
I
hope,
would
but
hope.
probably
Yeah.
still with their own, struggles, but
Yeah.
maybe not at this level of desperation.
Yeah.
I'd be semi intrigued to see it, but I think there's a reason we clearly didn't have any indication of
What happens
mentioning
post
really,
this? Yeah.
or or um or any real desire to watch that for this episode,
Yeah.
because when you watch this movie just as this movie, it's a perfect way to end it
Yeah.
because it ends it on such a high, on such that you almost don't want to go back and think anything's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So you question why would it have had to be brought back as an odd sort of legacy sequel TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
From Disney Plus, I think, of all people as well, which is odd, I think, because that's where I found I could watch this movie
Well,
on
I think
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus is connected to Hulu, so anything that you can watch on Hulu, will appear on
Britain
Disney.
doesn't have Hulu, so
So
just a bit
that's kind
odd.
of why it's there, I think, because it's generally connected to under the umbrella of a streaming service that is not inherently, like, age
Mm,
geared.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Watch this stripper movie on Disney.
On Disney Plus.
It
Yeah.
makes sense, doesn't it? Weird.
Yeah.
Um, no, I don't think it would have needed anything like that. And I
Yeah.
say I'm semi-interested because, yes, I think it would be nice to know
No,
if this,
yes, if
if
this
this
had a kind of a
continues.
positive impact and if they continue to
Yeah,
do more because of the bond that they shared and the kind of self-confidence they gain and, how it helps them work through things in their own kind of troubled lives
yeah,
and relationships. Did this
but
kind of continue to pay itself forward for these guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
but does it not mean more to you, the viewer, if you're just left with the hope that it does,
Yes,
and that
yes.
that sort of you can project that yes, that is now perfect, and I myself, you the viewer, can go away from this movie feeling the best you possibly can feel because
Yes.
this ending is literally, well, it's akin to the ending of It's a Wonderful Life in an extreme, to use
Yeah.
extreme terms. It ends in the most perfectly positive way possible.
Yes.
Um, it's misery, 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 misery for most of the movie, and then oh
And then
look,
hope, like
really
this
great,
hopeful
and then
moment.
hope.
Yes, yes. Like, are you happy just living in this moment that could never be replicated for these people? Um,
Yes, because it freeze
Live in
frames
this
at the end of
moment.
the movie as well,
Yes,
so
exactly.
freeze time there.
Yeah,
That's the point of a freeze frame.
yeah.
People think freeze frames are this gimmicky thing. The point of a meaningful a freeze frame can be very, very meaningful if done right. And it can set your movie to just end right
To
there
lock you in this
in a
beautiful
moment,
Yeah.
lock you in time, and sit in that. Don't think about anything else. Don't think about what comes after. That's not the point of the movie you have just watched. So end right there with everybody screaming, whooping, hooting and hollering at seeing Mark Addy's penis. Which is what they've all just done.
Yes.
You can't get away from that. You can leave your hat on. They don't even leave the hats on.
No, they don't.
They leave the hats on right until the last
very
minute.
end. Yeah.
Of course, it's a very nice, subtle, slow dance that they're all doing. That the ties are coming off, the belts are coming off, the shoes,
the shirt,
and the socks, and the all being thrown into the crowd. Mark Addy, I think, throws his own belt at his wife, which he very much enjoys.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about Robert Carlyle's son having to egg him on when the others are already up there half into the dance.
Yeah, and he's like, "Dad, get out there! Like they're there because of you, so go."
Winking at the people.
Yeah.
And I love as well that the audience are just average people as well. They're just normal people. They're just
because there's guys there too. It's not just all women.
And there weren't supposed to be guys in. It was supposed to be a ladies only event, and the guy who Robert Carlyle sets to sell the tickets.
Yeah.
Fakes. Pretends he didn't hear that. They said it was ladies only. What are you talking about? There are men here too. There's going to be people I know here. There's going to be all guys from the old steel mill here. I can't do this.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Go out there, and everyone enjoys it. Everyone has a raucous, wonderful time. Like it's just such a vibe by the end of the movie. It's such a celebration of all the kind of work and struggle we've seen these guys go through this whole movie, that you really want this for them by the end. And so seeing them out there, it's just so much fun.
Really, really showing confidence, really strutting their stuff, really full of enthusiasm, energy, charisma, and winking to the audience, really getting fully into it. They are total amateurs at this. They're totally unprofessional, but it is that raw nature that is more meaningful in this final performance. I suppose that goes same for the movie as a whole. It's a raw feeling movie. It's an unpolished feeling movie. It's a down and dirty, gritty, grimy, small scale movie set in Sheffield, a very, unglamorous place. As nice as a place as, it can be. I believe Sheffield is a reasonably nice place. Can't say I've ever been, but it is a reasonably nice place from, all accounts. I don't think it's one of those, dumpy kind of old industrial northern towns that you can get. I think it's been able to revive in other ways, but the movie mirrors the environment it's in, and the movie and the environment mirror the people involved in the movie. The characters, the cast itself, it's great casting, and the whole feeling and the energy of the entire movie fits with every other little aspect of it so pristinely, perfectly, that this ending of pure elation doesn't even feel like cinematic, Hollywoodized, glamorous sort of ending. No. It feels like the best moment of these people's lives.
Yeah.
Not just any other happy ending. It feels so much more significant for that because of the whole environment you're in. And you can look at that at one way and go, oh, is this the movie industry, you know, glorifying the deprivation of a place like this,
Yeah.
you know, and capitalizing on that? Potentially, but it still does work, because I've never met anybody from Yorkshire who doesn't love the Full Monty. You know, so
Yeah.
so it's clearly not an offensive movie to those
No.
from Yorkshire.
No.
So, you know, I don't think it is that. I think it is pure hope, pure
Yes.
feel good, and kind of way more so than the Magic Mike movies were, when you think about it. Because low key, the Magic Mike movies end up being a little bit just kind of, oh, Mike's down on his luck again.
Yes,
Oh,
but I
Mike's
mean,
down on his luck again. Oh, here he is on the third movie, down on his luck again.
yes, but I mean, if you compare it, I think, to any movie in the Magic Mike franchise, I think XXL is a kind of a perfect comparison, because you're
Yes,
dealing
it
with
is.
these guys who are also struggling. They don't kind of know what's next for them. They're kind of living in insecurities post kind of, but it's like in the sense of post doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
But they're kind of in the same mindset as these guys of just kind of being lost as to kind of what's next for them. Um, so yeah, I think that's maybe why the second one has so much heart, because I think it's the most comparable to something like this, which
Yeah,
has a ton of
I would
heart.
agree.
So yes.
I
So
would agree. Oh, is it ranking time?
I think it is.
It's ranking time. Well, before ranking time, I would imagine, by the sounds of it, you echo all the positivity I have for the Full Monty now.
Yes. Yes.
You know what it seems to mean, even if I can naturally identify with this sort of, you know, feeling of a movie more so than you can, simply because of where I
Where
have grown up.
yes.
Which no isn't in Sheffield, but isn't that far away from Sheffield.
Yeah.
And technically is in an old industrial town. You know, even Manchester as a city is an old industrial city, and yes, it does very well these days. But that's beside the point, really, isn't it? A movie, you do not have to identify with a movie in order to appreciate a movie.
Yes.
Which also should be said. You do not have to have lived through an experience that a movie is portraying to be able to get that
To be affected by
level
it.
of emotion and be affected by it. Absolutely, you do not. And I think we talk about that an awful lot. And we talk about that an awful lot on the main show, I think, as well, because obviously we're watching movies from decades and decades and decades ago from a world we don't recognize anymore.
Yeah.
Yet they still can affect us
Resonate.
in
Mhm.
monumental ways. The Full Monty definitely does that. What a credit it is to British movie making of that era. What a credit it is to itself,
Yeah.
really. What a great time it is. As for a ranking, Jeannine, I think it's fairly obvious what's going bottom.
Yeah.
Magic Mike's Last Dance is going bottom.
Yeah.
And Magic Mike has to come second bottom,
Okay.
or third. We won't call it second bottom, we'll call it third top, because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Last Dance, I'm not even sure anymore if it's actually a good movie or not. It was a shame.
It's not a
I think
bad
there's
movie,
parts.
but
No,
it's
it's not a bad movie.
no.
No. And it is tough to determine between Magic Mike XXL and The Full Monty, I think, because they are two very, very different movies that do, as we've said, as you've just said, have the same energy to them.
Yes.
But very different stylistically.
Yeah.
Does recency bias take it? And does British bias take it? And I go with Full Monty. Or does what might be a more rewatchable movie go with it? And XXL. What is the sexier movie? Magic Mike XXL. Is this series about sexy movies?
What is the sexiest?
All male review, you know, potentially. So do I go with XXL? But is this movie about the realism that is behind these scenarios, these all-male reviews, these shows, this lifestyle? Potentially. So do I go with the full Monty? It's a very difficult decision. I think if you were to ask me now, favourite XXL. Better movie, full Monty.
Monty. Okay. Can I ask another question?
You can ask another question.
What is your favorite dance moment out of the 4 films?
Oh, God. It might be the hot stuff scene
Tank.
in the
Okay.
bank. I know it's tiny and it's little and it's not even a dance. I understand it's not even a dance. If you want to know my full dance number, it's not the end of the full Monty, because I genuinely think the hot stuff in the banks is a
Even
better scene
more significant than the
I just think
final.
it's more significant.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, what was my favorite dance from XXL? You know, of those final dances. The most impressive one is Mike's, you know, mirror dance with I forget, Malik is his name, I think.
Yeah.
That's the most impressive one. My favorite one, I think, genuinely, just for shock value, is Richie's, though.
in the liquor store.
But then it might be Richie's in the liquor store.
Oh.
No, I was talking about Richie's at the end, but then it might be Richie's in the liquor store.
Okay.
Because that is, I think Richie's in the liquor store is akin to the hot stuff in the bank.
Yes, that energy of getting the enthusiasm back, you know. Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough to determine. It's nothing from the first Magic Mike. And I do like his dance with Salma Hayek at the beginning of Last Dance.
Yeah,
as well. I do like that. The finale of Last Dance, less so. Really anything in the first Magic Mike, less so. Pony's good, but that's really, I would say, the notable one. The best dancing is in XXL all round.
Yeah.
So I might be going Richie in the liquor store, because can you really call the hot stuff in the bank dancing?
Okay. And you prefer that to the final dance in that movie?
Yes, for significant reasons again.
Okay.
For significance reasons, I should say. I don't think, and this is my thing, this is what I was saying between like favourite and best. Like, what is my favourite versus what is the best? Like, it's objectively not the best dance, but is it my favourite? Those two scenes across this series, the hot stuff in the bank and Richie in the liquor store, have been my favourite parts of all 4 of these movies.
Okay.
But not the best parts of all 4 of these movies, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that. Totally get that.
It's interesting. I think it's been a fun series.
Yes, I know you kind of were turning your nose up a little bit, but I hope you had fun.
Just a little bit, because it was Magic Mike, and I just didn't know how to get in there. I think I knew I would like this movie.
Yes.
I think I knew I would. And that might be British bias talking, and me just having to be, you know, I'm very rarely patriotic unless it comes to movies. I'm not even that patriotic when it comes to movies, am I?
No, not really. No, not really.
Although we are doing Brit Noir on November on the main show this year, so maybe I am now.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe it's sinking in there. But no, like I'm glad you've reacted somewhat favorably to a franchise you were very kind of like averse to. And I was able to kind of show you that
it's not as though it's not happened in the past on Morgan Hasn't Seen that kind of attitude either, has it?
That's always the mission here. Like, you may not love everything we watch on Morgan Hasn't Seen, but you will.
Funny you should say mission as well. Funny you should say mission there, because obviously Mission Impossible was a big deal.
Yes, that was a huge franchise we tackled that you ultimately ended up enjoying very much. So
very much so.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, my goal is always to, not show you something, that I know you're inherently going to love, but, to have you watch it and find an appreciation there. or kind of an understanding about something you maybe had a preconceived notion about. That's kind of always in the back of my mind to try to, put forth to you when I pick these movies and series. So
Yes, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Well, of course, we have an interesting series coming next as well on Morgan Hasn't Seen. We're taking it back to the 70s. We're doing a series on the late 70s. We're just calling it the late 70s because there's it's for some reason, there's a small little handful of movies that you are particularly, I think, fond of, and one that
or
has just
interested in.
intrigued you or interested
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And you just felt it would work as a nice little September series for Morgan Hasn't
It's
Seen.
different. It's different for Morgan Hasn't Seen because this
is.
feels very much like a main show type series.
It's just we don't tend to go to the late 70s on the main show. We don't go that recent on the main show.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting. It'd be a couple of fun ones, I think, and a couple of oddly interesting ones.
Yeah.
All of which I think are going to be good movies, though, as well. All of which are very well-respected movies. So I think that helps.
Yeah, because I've seen, I think, all of them except one. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting.
It will. Do keep an eye out for the full announcement post, of course, and announcement videos for those upcoming September series on, of course, this show Morgan Hasn't Seen and the main show as well. We will be starting a new Jeannine Hasn't Seen TV, as of course we've just we just finished, or are we finishing? We have just finished, actually, as we've just finished talking Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Of course,
For
until season 4 comes
Yeah.
out. Yes, we have just finished that. So we'll be starting a new Jeannine Hasn't Seen, or Jeannine Partially Hasn't Seen, or whatever we're going to call that aspect of it. More interestingly and obviously, though, it is called Diving into Doctor Who. So that tells you what you need to know about what it is, doesn't it, really? That's coming very, very soon in September as well. Do subscribe and ding your notification bell on this YouTube channel if you are watching today's Morgan Hasn't Seen episode special video episode edition, which you voted for, the full Monty for. So keep an eye out for all those polls as well for the next month to coincide with the announcements, of course. If you are just listening on any such podcast platform today, do subscribe to the feed right here for this show and the main show every single week. Leave your comments on Spotify, leave your ratings, reviews anywhere you are listening. If you want to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, there are links in the description to go ahead and do that. We would indeed love you forever. You can, of course, just find us on and across the social medias as well. On the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at The Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in there because, Jeannine.
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok and Blue Sky at The Purple Dawn. All your hot stuff is where?
You can find me Jeannine __ on Twitter, Jeannine on Instagram, at TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
And in your finest Sheffield accent, please.
Oh, no.
Count us
Why do you
down.
do this to me?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
I couldn't have been further from Sheffield.
Well done.
Hilarious. Bye.